Evening, guys. Evening. What a day in the markets. We've got a lot to go through. A lot of action. A lot of sides. Surprising side stories that have really taken over here. And definitely changed up a few of the games that we were looking at. A few of the trades that we're looking at. Introduced a couple others though. Alright, there's definitely a lot of opportunity here if you're thinking a little bit medium term, like 1 to 2 weeks from now. Alright, so let's begin with probably the most important thing. I'm doing the end of the US shift at the moment, so I'm taking over from the US session, right? So I'm there this morning and I see Dudley having a little chat there. Alright, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. It's pretty bullish, pretty hawkish. And then Lacquer comes out. It's pretty hawkish. I'm like, oh, okay, that's like two people getting on the horn. And then I'm reading. I'm like, is that a third person? Is that a third person coming out and speaking from the Fed? I mean, what is going on here, right? What is what is happening? I mean, why are so many people from the Fed speaking about March rate hikes as a possibility? And, serious consideration. I'll get the exact headlines for you. I did post them in the chat room earlier, just after they came out. Alright, so Fed Williams says, this is all in the space of an hour. Fed Williams said, rate increase up for serious consideration in March. Fed Harker says, repeats 3 rate hikes appropriate for this year. And then Dudley says, case for rate rise getting more compelling. In the space of an hour, the chance of the Fed raising in March went from below 50% to above 50%. Okay, the market is now having to reprice the chance of it happening. And with dollar yen, it happened at a critical time. Dollar yen had just tested the 111.60 level from back earlier in February, right? So this is sort of ridiculous. The technicals lining up with the fundamentals, and you're having this big reverse change. Now, I mean, who's going to sell, right? The only reason to sell, and the only reason that this didn't go even higher during the end of the US session is that Trump was about to speak. And now, so Trump's speech was a lot better than everyone expected in terms of, I mean, look, he didn't have any detail. Okay, that was sort of expected. But he was a bit more conciliatory and definitely a bit more statesman-like than he could have, otherwise been. He wasn't a disaster, right? So the market gave him a free pass on the back of that. And so he's got more time to come out with details. And the market's just continuing its rally. So stocks are reacting positively. That doesn't hurt dollar yen. And dollar yen can go back to focusing on the yields. Now, the last time the yields were this high in the 2-year, we were above 115. We were closer to 118. Right, that was December sort of pricing. So right now, we've got ourselves a little bit of a rodeo where we can get some serious rally going on. Not just to 115, which is the first target, of course, but above that, as we go into the announcement from the March announcement. Now NFP just has to come in decent, right? And then it's pretty much market starts pricing it in, and then we'll get disappointment if the Fed doesn't raise. That'll be an interesting situation that they haven't been in for a while. And so probably it's going to force their hand and they're going to raise, right? Now that may be too much for the stock market to handle, but we don't know, right? Stocks are just showing phenomenal strength here. And while I do believe there will be a pullback technically at some point, we just haven't got the catalyst for it. All right, you need a catalyst to get the pullback, and we're probably going to get 21,000 tested before we test 2,500. Right? I mean, it's it's looking harder and harder to justify the sell when everything's looking up in the moment. Right? So the sellers and a lot of traders were selling this because it was 12 days in a row rally. Myself included. I just got out as soon as Trump was half decent. I was like, okay, I'm not going to stick around and see what happens next. This is going to be a dangerous day here. So I got out of that, and then I'm like, well, long dollar yen. We had some GDP come out of Australia that was extremely strong. So long Aussie yen. he was off nice levels as well. And then Aussie Kiwi made lots of sense to buy, just because of the way that, you know, it is consolidated above that 105.80, and we had a reason now to test 107.50, which I think we're going to break. So, you know, that is, you know, my background here, what we're looking at, and I'm really, you know, sort of pumped up for a few of these trades. Now, in terms of selling Aussie, probably not. Get rid of that now. Selling Euro Pound. Pound benefits from the yen buying. Alright, so the yen buying helps the pound yen, which is now turning quite bullish. The only thing that we have to look at to get that next catalyst for the dollar yen rally is that Euro yen starts a short squeeze. Euro yen has to break above this 120, probably going to happen, right? Probably going to happen. And then you've got the euro being left alone, or even breaking 105 as the market starts to price in the Fed raising rates. Then, you know, below 105, it's easy enough to test the 103.80. Okay, well, I mean, who's going to buy it at 104.80 when you can just wait to get down at 103.80? So that would help us the euro pound fall further. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty happy about the way the market's developing here. Now, the risks are obviously the dollar yen rally will get short circuited again by another Fed comment that tries to mediate the market's change of heart, or you know, the stock market somehow have a pullback, right? You know, that's the risk here, because stock markets are due at some point to have a technical correction. But dollar yen in the short term, we just got to keep buying yen crosses. I think is the way to play it. Pound yen looks, you know, convincing as well. So this is, you know, set up as pretty easy trades for the next 2 weeks if you believe this sort of change of heart of the Fed. There's no reason to doubt what they're saying, and it seems premeditated and it seems orchestrated, right? Which suggests there's a plan. The plan must be to raise rates, right? So it's like they would have done it much differently if you know, unless we'll find out pretty quickly if they've made a mistake here. You know, Yellen or someone bigger will come out and just say, hey, everyone settle down. We have not really made our mind up yet, or something like that, right? If they want to buy optionality to not raise rates. But if we don't hear anything soon, or we hear another reiteration of March being on the cards, the expectation will start to price in, and then it's really what the Fed wants, an easy transition into a rate hike without the turmoil. So I really like this. Yeah, I really like this a lot. Yeah, Aussies sell. Yeah, I closed out just because there's so many better trades out there. Steady. Yeah, it's not the best way to be playing your US dollar strength play. I mean, almost every other pair is actually better. So yeah, it might fall, it might not. I'm pretty agnostic on what it does next. You know, there's a lot of stops under this 76, I suppose, and you know, if the US dollar gets really strong, it probably will, you know, go lower. But it's been ridiculously strong on dips, and the data helped. So, you know, we're only like 2 or 3 pieces of data away from the RBA, you know, changing slightly to hawkish, yeah. And it does that by appreciating the strength of the local data. The Sydney house prices came out today as well, up 18% year on year, and we're already in a housing sort of bubble here. It's just sort of nuts. So, you know, you can probably start to see the change coming at some point. China's not talked about, right? So, play what the game is ahead of you. Play the game that's been played at the moment, and that seems to be Aussie strength, US dollar strength, yen weakness, stock market strength, commodity strength. Pound is still disappointing me, but you know, all we have to do is get pound back up to the mid 124s, dollar yen be above 114, you got yourself some nice support for the pound. And you know, euro pound selling should be coming back through again. You know, probably just some simmering of that Scottish story, and you can get some pound strength back. Alright, so that's my opening rant. It's such a nice day. I mean, this is, you know, for dollar yen buyers, it's just like a gift from heaven. Now, where are we going to get in if you haven't got in already? A bit of a tough one. You may want to buy a little bit just straight at market and buy more if it dips. It did have a nice little pullback to one when Trump was speaking. This was a small disappointment on no data, no specifics coming out. Same with the during his speech, a little bit of pullback, but nothing really serious. I think the market's going to be full forward on here. So, you know, we're talking about 20-30 point pullbacks rather than big pullbacks now on dollar yen trying to buy dips there. Some risk to the US dollar, I suppose, is if the strong US dollar policy gets talked down again. But Trump didn't really say anything aggressive on that front, did he? So, fairly green light here to be on the risk on sort of trades. But let's have a look at some of the review, what analysts are saying about his speech, and also dollar yen. See what their predictions are here on some of these levels. Also, just quickly, US dollar index, let's have a look at it. Yeah, it's on the move as well, on the march. Remember, a lot of the US investors were waiting up for the speech, so it's not like we're going to get a fresh reaction tonight that's going to be too different from what we got during Asia. Yeah, all the manufacturing PMIs are coming out. No, I'm not chasing stocks, Chris. Yeah, I mean, probably the right thing to do is to buy, but yeah, there's no reason to be chasing. DAX still can get, you know, back above 12,000 quite easily, targeting its sort of all-time highs back there. So 12,400 is a reasonable target to the top side. Especially if the euro falls, it adds extra weight. So the actual percentage changes here, 1.2% versus 0.3%, show you that, you know, it's actually rallying more than the others. Buying ASX makes a lot of sense as well. ASX is underperforming, no reason for it to be really. So where are we, ASX? Might buy a little bit of you. Little bit of you. Expectation of a strong day tomorrow. We'll see. Yeah, the PMI coming out in 4 minutes. We'll have a little look at the reaction. Yeah, so border tax as well, that wouldn't hurt, and it seems to, he was talking a little bit about it, just by in the speech today, by highlighting how much the trade deficit is. I think everything takes it back room to that. Everything takes it back, a back seat to it. And remember, Article 50, when it's triggered, I think is going to be a very bullish event for the pound. I mean, we might want to wait and see that it is, but if it starts to be bullish after the market, after they trigger it, I think we hop onto a lot of Euro-pound selling. You know, it's sort of like the market showing its hand, if that's the case. Canadian dollar is getting wrecked at the moment because of this border tax. Now, we talked about this as one way of playing. So, if you're talking about Canadian dollar, it's Aussie CADs make sense. That was a trade we should have done. We talked about, just watched it go up. But in the last couple of days, dollar CAD is getting absolutely pummeled. All the way back up to 133. So really exaggerated movement compared to most pairs. And that's because border tax will definitely affect them negatively. It's not like oil's weak or anything, it's just straight up market front running that potentiality. So yeah, that's something to keep in the back of your mind if you're a CAD trader. No need to be messing with that yet. Alright, Deutsche Bank does a good report on yen. Looking for some yen stuff. They're more bullish than me. Unlikely to hold at 117, 118 this time. Alright. Even partial implementation of Trump policies suggests they will get above 120. UK PMI came in at 54, a little bit lower than forecast. That's not going to help. Some of the data has been a little bit sketchy out of the UK in the last week or so, last 2 weeks. Alright. So the 2 years definitely surging up. So it's not even a crazy sort of rally here. This is just general meander up with as they're raising rates. Yeah, I mean, let's see how it plays out. Like, let's see how if we can get past 115 like it's butter in the next week, then we'll get a bit more punchy on it. Just HSBC here. Quick little look on their view. Repeats many. It did sound like a campaign speech for half of it, that's for sure. So it's actually more dangerous if he had said some actual policies, then the market would have had something to digest and be happy with or sad with. Because he actually suggested nothing, the only chance of disappointment was that people just didn't accept that anything was coming soon. But the market's given him another free pass here, so we're just going to have to play the game that's been played, and we're looking for resistance, 21,000 on the Dow. Yeah, he did chuck a big number out there though, $1 trillion in infrastructure investment. Yeah, but there was no concrete plan to replace Obamacare with. So yeah, really light on details. So markets just move past it. I think we just got to focus on this Fed's talk, right? This is really what we've got to focus on. I was looking at the Reuters Doves and Hawks little demographic here. So who did we get speaking today? We got Lacker and Harker, both of them are Hawks, so that's not crazy. But Dudley was out there as well. Dudley? Harker and Williams. Harker and Williams and Dudley. That was pretty unscheduled, right? It's just on CNN interview randomly, but it lined up with all these at the same time. It's just coincidence is too much, right? Yeah, so I don't know if he can wait here for the dollar yen to pull back. He might just have to hop on at a quarter lot size and then see how we go. So my trade's currently long Aussie stock market. Yeah. Long Aussie yen, long Aussie kiwi, short euro pound. Short euro pound is the worst of those trades. Long dollar yen as well is a good trade. But just trade small if you haven't got into the market already. Okay. Yeah, look, Butter, it could be a big one, mate. Could be a big one. Yeah, I think in terms of, there is no NFP this week, so we will get some US manufacturing as well tonight, though. Got the Bank of Canada tonight as well. But yeah, that's not really on my radar. Wheeler is speaking tomorrow, RBNZ Wheeler. Now that could help cement the break. Because remember last time he only spoke a little while ago talking about the neutrality of the RBNZ. If he reinforces that, then you could see definitely the Aussie Kiwi towards 108, and once the technical break happens, a bit easier to suggest we're going higher towards 110. So yeah, this is looking good here for this Aussie Kiwi trade. But we'll see what he says tomorrow. It has disappointed us in the past though, the Aussie Kiwi, hasn't it? Yeah, I'm not buying Aussie against the US, Dr. Pippa. That's just too mixed from my liking. Too difficult. Alright guys, yeah, so it's pretty interesting stuff. What happened today. It was pretty unexpected that we get all that Fed stuff overwhelming Trump. Pretty good to have that volatility though, because Trump didn't provide us with anything. So we do have a trade now. We do have a definite trade. Just quickly look at one more report. Also, there was a slew of Chinese data came out. Chinese PMIs picked up again, so that's another reason to be long the Aussie. So there's a couple of things going into the long Aussie trades, not against the US dollar, but the other pairs. GDP was good, Chinese data was good. So yeah, we're just remaining bullish short term. Credit alcohol. Yeah, the Fed's much bigger than Trump and today. So US Treasuries, 2 years are at the highest level since mid-December. Go check out where dollar yen was in mid-December. $117, $118. Yeah, Bank of Canada is expected to be a non-event. Perhaps they'll be concerned about the risk to the balance trade there with the US. I'm not sure how political they are. Bank of Canada though, they're not my. I don't watch a lot of those Bank of Canada meetings. Alright guys, hopefully you got the gist of how I'm feeling about the market now. I'll be pretty keen to buy, say, 113.30. I'm going to be pretty quick on the trigger today. Not really looking to sell the euro. I will keep an eye on euro yen though. That will help me be more confident in buying dollar yen. Also keep an eye on pound yen. That's important for the euro pound component. Pound though is struggling. Had a little bit of weak data just then, and also it broke 123.80 overnight, so it's technically a bit broken as well. Other than that, we'll keep an eye out on the speech from RBNZ Wheeler tomorrow at 7 AM Sydney time. So that's 10 hours from now. And see what stocks do tonight. I mean, they're looking pretty good, but you know, at some point we are going to see that technical correction that will throw a spanner in the works on the dollar yen. Probably only short term though, right? Only short term. If it's a pullback, just give us better levels to enter. In theory, the downtrend is still holding on the dollar yen, but very close to those key levels. So we'll see. We're talking tomorrow at 114, 20, 30. Another indication to keep by. Alright guys, good luck.